Chapter 11. Presently, Shisho. I headed out of town that day. It was a place I visited almost every day before going to the Azura Royal Academy. However, since returning, I never showed my face. The town outskirts, a rough, nondescript two-story building that looked like a place monsters would roam. At a glance, it looked like a typical standalone house. In fact, it was reinforced everywhere with metal called Rudeus steel, which is incredibly sturdy. An outsized basement with teleportation circle connections to all over the world. An armory, a library, and a training facility. This was the residence of Dragon God Orsted. I became a pupil here when I was a child. By the time I was 15, I was granted the title of North King and left for Azura Kingdom. Elementary, intermediate, advanced, saint, king, emperor, and god ranks. Third from the top, each school has no more than 5 members, totally, in the god and emperor ranks. King rank is generally the highest rank around. With around 50 king ranks, North God style probably has the most in the world. Back then, I was still filled with hope and anticipation. I said my sincere farewell, thinking I wouldn't be back for at least a decade. Shisho said, "I may never see you again, so don't forget my teachings. May your sword swing true." A heartfelt parting. To come back in mere years, I was too embarrassed to show up. Then yesterday happened. Lightning, the masked man who suddenly appeared. I wanted to hear the truth from Shisho. The first room you see after entering the building looks like a clinic waiting room. A few chairs for waiting, a large table counter, and a woman with one long ear standing behind the counter. She looked at me and smiled. "Oh, Sieg-kun, welcome. It's been a long time." "Yeah, it's been a while." She is Philiastria, a receptionist who deals with visitors who come to the office. A beautiful appearance, probably because she's from the long-eared tribe. "Oh, it's not Sieg-kun anymore. I should call you Sieg-san now, right? Please, don't fuss over it." Except for her, there were 3 main residents in this office. Dragon God Orsted, the boss. My father, the right arm of Orsted, Magic King Rudeus Greyrat. And my teacher, the left arm of Orsted, North God Kalman III, Alexander Ryback. 3 people renowned throughout the world. Orsted rarely makes his appearance, but I feel like no one in the world can win against those 3 when they're together. These 3, including Father, have been making preparations to defeat the demon god who will resurrect after 60 years or so. Basically, working towards future world peace. I used to think about how cool that sounds, but the reality of the job involves mostly building relationships with important people around the world. The slow and steady work of building an alliance for a war 70 years later. Father eagerly travels the world for his work, but Shisho mostly acts as Orsted's escort. Orsted, I have no idea what he actually does. Well, I guess it's a matter of information security from outsiders. Anyways, visiting this office is anxiety-inducing. There are 3 people here who can erase me with a flick of the finger. Father shouldn't be in today, so too. "Did you come by today to visit Orsted-sama?" "No, just Shisho today." "If you want Alexander-sama, he's at the underground training facility." "Got it." It would be better to greet Orsted-sama. He's Father's boss after all, thus benefactor of the Greyrat family. However, Orsted isn't a sociable person. He doesn't come out too much. Well, towards Father's children, he won't treat us so coldly, but I'm no longer a child. I should know better. With that thought, I went down from the reception room to the basement, walking down the dark corridor towards the training facility. The training facility is a room with a high ceiling. It's set up with magic circles to mitigate physical and magical attacks, and magic circles to heal injuries. At the beginning of my apprenticeship, I was taught swordsmanship in the field behind the office. However, by the time I was 10 years old, my father used earth magic and made this expansion. Since then, I learned the sword here from Shisho, North God style, the greatest sword school in the world. Some said Sword God style's one-hit KO is the strongest, others said it's Water God style that's undefeatable, but I can say with conviction, the North God style is the greatest. I'd say it's the strongest, but it's hard to be sure since I'm far from the pinnacle myself. Moreover, Shisho North God Kalman III is the pinnacle of the North God style. Despite his strength, he still lost a father, a magician, and 2 Orsted as well, so it may not be the strongest after all, but only North God style, a school that embodies justice. Hey, Shisho. Shisho was sitting at the centre of the training area, by himself without a sword, sitting quietly with his back to the entrance, unmoving, still like a stone statue. Seeing this, I stopped talking and sat down at the entrance of the training area. 1 instance later, Shisho suddenly stood up. Still standing with his back facing me, he appeared by my side. There was no sword in his hand, then I knew the sword was there. Another instance later, vertical cut, horizontal cut, diagonal cut. In the blink of an eye, Shisho swung 3 times, faster than even the Sword God style. The current Sword God could probably swing 4 or 5 times. Another instance later, the teacher was in front of me. I'm not surprised. Some techniques of the North God style are performed in response to the blink of an eye or a person's heartbeat. Against such a technique, even the Water God style has trouble countering unless the instructor is familiar with it. I am someone who's familiar. Hey Sieg, it's been a long time. The teacher sat in front of me and said, smiling as if nothing happened yesterday. My apologies for not visiting. Since coming back, you had yet to show your face. I thought I was hated. On Shisho, a smile unchanged from our farewell years ago. Well, I had my own circumstances. What will it be today? Here for the North God title? No way. If I said yes, Shisho would probably gladly oblige the challenge, then laugh after winning overwhelmingly. Well, you have a long way to go, when I fell. In the unlikely event that I win, I would become the head of the North God style as North God, without any disciples to lead though. I just wanted to ask about some things. Well, what? Wait, let's guess. Yes, that's it. You look troubled. I see. What's troubling you? I can't say that's not the case. I'm told I'm not good for consultations, but let's hear what's bothering you. Over the years, I've learned many things from Shisho. However, consultation with Shisho over my worries is not one of them. Shisho is simple-minded. Shisho never overthinks things, no matter how complicated. Also, loose lips. Whatever we talk about will certainly be shared with Father by the end of the day. No, I didn't come here to talk about my worries. Okay, then what? What happened yesterday? Yesterday? What yesterday? I've been here all day yesterday. After escorting Orsted-sama, I was busy meditating and had no time to go outside. Orsted-sama could attest. Yeah. I hadn't even asked yet and he's already anxiously offering an alibi. Too easy to understand. Shisho is not a good liar. Alec Thunder, so you picked lightning, right? I offered him a bait. The teacher, surprised, quickly shook his head. Bingo. Did you say lightning just now? The guy that wore a black helmet? Huh? That's unexpected. Shisho, please cut the crap. Lightning, the number 2 in Shadow Corps, the most powerful evil organisation in the area. Shadow Corps? The Shadow Corps is a terrible organisation that does the utmost evil every day. Nobody knows their true nature. It's a big organisation that even we can't get a handle on. No, Shisho is Lightning, right? Lightning was a disciple who once trained under me, Emperor rank. I excommunicated him when he joined the Shadow Corps. How descriptive. Shisho is simple and bad at lying, but he's rather descriptive. No matter what the excuse, one should fess up when caught, yet he insisted on his innocence. Sieg-kun, Lightning and the Shadow Corps are terrifying. You should never get involved. What should I do? I don't know why my teacher is lying like this. Why did you protect that nobleman? Do you know what that man was doing yesterday? That man yesterday? Who is it? Viscount Bastille, the fat man. Ah, Shisho nodded. The second wealthiest noble in the city. Yes, he is. He offers noble families that couldn't stand on their own marriage alliances. You mean an innocent girl to fulfill his own desires? Shisho frowned. Did he not know? Surely the Shisho who aims to be a hero would not tolerate such a man. Shisho took out a small piece of paper from his pocket, reciting, "A good man, although lustful, although he has done some distasteful things, so let this be a lesson for him." Come on, the lies blatantly read off of a script. Shisho was obviously following someone else's instructions. Yesterday was obviously no accident either. There aren't many people who can enact such a farce with Shisho, except... But I heard rumours that he's also funding Shadow Corps. That's probably why you ended up fighting Lightning yesterday. I didn't even mention that I'd fought him yet. Honestly, it's embarrassing how bad Shisho is at lying. Unfortunately, I don't know where the Shadow Corps' base is. Perhaps there's someone who's familiar with the underworld around town. Too bad I can't be of more help. The teacher closed his mouth like a clam. This means that if you gather intel in town, you'll naturally get information about the Shadow Corps. I stood up, sighing. To be honest, I thought this would happen eventually. Surely that nobleman had a relationship with Orsted and others. Being the second richest person in town, he may have also funded Orsted. If it seems that such an opponent is attacked, Orsted's subordinates could not stay silent. Then Orsted would have to send in those two to take care of business. My Shisho, Alexander, and my father, Rudeus. The person behind this farce is probably Father. But I can't believe Father would prepare such a farce. I've been avoiding Father ever since I came back to this town. I'd surely let Father down. I didn't marry Sariel, nor help Father with work. Presently unemployed, moonlighting as an ally of justice. I'm confident that I failed my father's expectations. I'm scared of what he would say. Will I be scolded? Maybe he'll kick me out altogether. It's just as well if he's disappointed. It's fine if he's just angry and scolds me. The scariest thing is saying nothing at all, not being disappointed at all. Perhaps expectations were mere lip service. Maybe I'm like air to him, like I just don't exist at all, just like my grey-coloured school life. I wouldn't be able to handle that. I still respect my father. I can't be like Father, but I still respect him. I couldn't stand being treated like that by him. Should I meet him? I have to, right? Yes, he prepared such a farce. He must have something to say. Until now, even though I was unemployed, he hasn't said anything. Even though I had nothing lined up after coming back from the Royal Academy, he just said, "I see," and nodded. Father probably has something to say. Maybe a rebuke for beating that noble. Yeah, something. Sieghart, are you going? Yes. Well, I won't stop you, but at least bring this with you. Shisho nodded and said, like reciting from a play, presenting a sword. The lies and the lines are bad, but that was a good line. No, I won't need a sword. I'm not going to fight or use a sword. Allies of justice always use bare hands. I stood up. I was planning to have Shisho lead me to the next stage, but Shisho surely needed a costume change before the next scene. I didn't want to ruin the farce prepared for me. Sieghart? He stopped me suddenly and I looked back. Before you go, answer my question. Question? Oh, it's no big deal. It wasn't the play acting tone as before, the nostalgic voice of my teacher. Surely he wanted to ask this of his own will. Nevertheless, the question is predictable. Why aren't you working, but doing this instead? Surely, I used to be able to talk about the noblesse of unemployment, but Shisho seemed to know I was working as an ally of justice. Should we talk about justice? Would Shisho scold me like my mother's? If it's Shisho, as the one that taught me about allies of justice, he surely won't. I want to know, but I'm also afraid. Sure, what do you want to know? Shisho scanned my face as if searching for my true feelings and asked, "Why won't you use a sword?" I was struck by the question. Oh, that's... because it was different from the question I'd assumed. That's not all. I didn't know myself. I haven't touched my sword since returning to Magic City Shiraya. The activities of the Ally of Justice have always been done with bare hands. So the real answer is, I don't know. I don't need weapons for my justice. But that was the answer I came up with. I heard Father say that once. Cheddar Man does not use weapons, always fight evil with bare hands. For his power is not to fight the bad guys, but to help the weak. His justice is to help the weak, and helping the weak does not require excessive weaponry. Justice, Shisho sighed. I had a sneaky idea that those words would make sense for my teacher. Master once ran rampant due to an incredibly powerful weapon. He mistook the strength of his weapon as his own strength. But after losing to Father and Alstead, he reflected and gave it up. He said he was still immature and had much to learn. Since then, he no longer uses magic swords and demon swords. Instead, a simple sword, sturdy and sharp, but without a name. With that experience, Shisho could surely appreciate my reason for not using a sword. I think justice needs a sword. But failing my expectations, Shisho said that instead. Why? Well, you're trying to fight evil. You can help the innocent without fighting, but if you choose to fight evil, you'll have to go where evil resides. I'm not going to fight evil. So you'll just show up. As if he no longer planned to hide everything, he sat back down, standing on his knees and leaning forward. You're going to fight evil, then you need a sword. Why? Because justice can't lose. If you fight, don't lose. If you can't lose, you need a sword. A very simple theory, just like Shisho. I can't argue against its simplicity. I taught you the sword because you want to become someone that would fight even an impossible enemy, like a hero. When I was young, I swung the sword with that goal, that looming presence, what Shisho called a hero. To me, an ally of justice. They have slightly different meanings, but both are for defeating evil and helping the weak. Of course, but that was a long time ago. Now you're an adult, you don't have to be a hero. If you're going to fight a mighty opponent, a sword is a must, no? I'm meeting Father, so I don't need a sword with me. In the first place, it won't be a fight. How could I attack my father? But Shisho wasn't talking about that. He is scolding me of my current situation. Or have you truly fallen? Fallen so much that you're merely venting your anger against the weak? You think I'm bullying the weak in anger? With justice as your excuse, just as I was. Using justice as an excuse to bully the weak. It might be so. Certainly since becoming an ally of justice, I never fought against a stronger opponent. I struggled a little yesterday, but I have strength left. No, I knew. Saying I don't would be a lie. Ally of justice, the Jobless Oblige. It was just an excuse or a justification for the status quo. Not using a sword is just another excuse. The ally of justice is, after all, mere playing pretend. If I've fallen, would you excommunicate me too? No way. I just wanted to hear your troubles. Shisho shrugged and stood up. But the one to hear your troubles won't be me. He pointed to the exit of the training area. Go. Tell your worries to the person in question. You'll find the answer you're looking for. Sensei said that with a rare, lonely expression. I walked back into town. It might be the first time that Shisho looked that lonely. My worries. Should I have told him? No, even if I tell Shisho, I won't get the answer I'm looking for. Somehow my chest hurts. I'm troubled. Unmarried, unemployed, unoccupied. My worries. But Shisho doesn't have answers for me, because Shisho is simple-minded. He won't understand my troubles. He'll just say, then just do it. If it's so easy, I would have done it already. I head towards the tavern with those thoughts. The Drunken Goblin. It's a bar that I visit almost every day. I guess coming by has turned into a habit. Why goblin when there's no goblins nearby? I've heard about that before. The guy I heard from said because small-time villains gather at a bar like this, like a nest of goblins. Left alone too long, it'll fester, so once in a while they get exterminated by castle knights or killed by nobles for sport. Just the same, right? He said. When I entered the store, I recalled that exchange. Those I beat up, have I been treating them like goblins too? To be honest, I felt like drinking this time. When was the last time I drank? Probably the graduation at Azura Royal Academy. At least since coming back, I haven't drunk any alcohol. I only come to the bar for information gathering. When the bar owner offered gratitudes, I always accepted. Perhaps today I should. Oh well. Alcohol is a symbol of evil. If I get drunk and lose it, I don't know what to do with myself. Hey George. Sieg, how are you doing? He reeked of alcohol when I sat in front of him. Apparently, George was drinking more than usual. I'm alright. You? Not great. I didn't make any money yesterday, George said with a smirk. Hey, that's unusual for you. George had always done well for himself, yet he's always short of cash. I often wondered where he spent all his money. So, there are days when he couldn't make any money either, huh? But you look pretty good though. Yesterday was yesterday, today's today. Today I got a big job. Ah, so business is good then. So you are in a good mood. Well, I don't know. I might not be able to make easy money after today. Is that so? That's right. Day jobs, huh? But I heard that you're doing steady work lately. Seems unrelated to your job as an informant. No, unless, maybe... Hey George. Do you know about the Shadow Corps? Hearing that, with a surprised face, George stiffened up. After looking around, he leaned close to me. Idiot! Not so loud. What if someone hears you? Oh, sorry. The Shadow Corps. Where did you hear that? There are dangerous rumours about those guys. Apparently George knows about the Shadow Corps. So that means... George is probably the man that Father and Shisho used to pass messages. Unless I'm completely misunderstood and this isn't part of the farce. But in retrospect, most of my villain's information so far came from George. That's why business was good. Pass information about villains to me, getting paid by Father. Well, I can't blame George, he probably just did his job. They're the worst villains in town. Even that Orsted can't deal with them. Don't talk openly about them. You never know where those guys are hiding. George kept scanning our surroundings, looking really pale in the face. Then, after confirming that no one was looking, he whispered, So what did you want to know about the Shadow Corps? George is a good actor. I want Shisho to learn a little from him. Location. Their bases. Sieg, are you... George leaned back and opened his eyes as if horrified. However, he shook his head immediately. No, if you knew of Shadow Corps, I thought you'd do something. AKA, that's why I didn't say anything until now. Their base is here. He took a piece of paper out of his pocket and handed it to me. When I opened it, a detailed map appeared. So detailed, it makes one wonder why you happen to carry it around. A cross drawn near the centre of the map. That's probably the secret base. George, thank you. No problem, George said, rubbing under his nose. He probably thought he'd pulled one over on me again. Too bad. I felt a bit bad for him. I'll entrust the peace of this town to you, Moon Knight. Feeling apologetic, I decided to play along. Looking at George's face in surprise, I steeled myself and nodded. Yes, I shall return, and stood up. Say, George was probably receiving money from father. If so, there are some things I don't understand. Well, Sieg? What? I'm sorry. I didn't know at that moment what the apology meant, but apart from information gathering, he also made small talk. That time was never uncomfortable. It must have been the same for him. The proof was the conversation just now. It wasn't an act, but said coldly. That's probably his true self. No worries. Drunk goblin guests are killed as easily as goblins. Small-time villain with little money, earning daily coin, making petty havocs. But even small-time villains have a friend or two. With that in mind, I got out of the bar, towards father.